Okay. Hi. How is everybody doing? Okay, so just by way of checking in with everybody, those of you who were interested, just as a reminder, if you were interested in going into subscription mode, let me see if I can find my image. I think I lost my image. No, ZBrush live. There has to be install process. I swear I had it there. Oh, I lost it. I'll just go ahead and get back over to the to my project. But how's everybody doing? For those of you who were interested in going in and doing subscription process, they extended the subscription deadline to the end of the month. So you have until the 31st, which is pretty cool. It's very, very nice of them to go through and do that. It's $30 off of a 6-month subscription, so it's usually it's going to be $179 without the discount, and then it's a $30 discount, so it'd be $149, which is pretty stinking cool. Oh, there I can't find the my little coupon code. I'm pretty sure that I posted it on my Instagram, so in fact maybe I can just pull that up. I'll check it out. Instagram. Wow, that's amazing. There we are, right there. So if you're interested in going through and doing a 6-month subscription, hey Win, how you doing? Good to see you. Thanks for stopping in. Hopefully all the ZBrush live channels are working today. I know that the other day when I was streaming on my own channel, I actually played a little bit with this. Used a 3D print of a skull that I had done inside of ZBrush, and decided to make. He had fallen and lost the jaw, and he also lost the front 4 teeth. So conveniently enough, looked like Dustin from Stranger Things. So I'm going through and I'm sculpting hair and a hat for him so that he looks like Dustin from Stranger Things. Kind of macabre, but it was kind of a funny idea. And what else are you going to do with a partial skull? It's not good enough to just keep it for reference. Hola Rodrigo. Ando bien, ¿y tú? ¿Cómo estás? ¿Cómo estás, compadre? It's a good day. But yeah, so if you're into the subscription, 6-month subscription, that ends on the 31st. Okay. So, pretty cool. Alright, let's jump in. I'm kind of like fighting this cold garbage lately, whatever that is. I don't know, allergy season, something. So if I cough a lot, I'm sorry. Okay. Candy Shade 5, that's a nice one. Alright, Candyland 12. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna open this up, and let's kind of dive into stuff. Okay, so I'm not going to stay super into the environment side of stuff, except for maybe running some remesher on the ground part of it. Okay, my primary focus for right now, I want to go through and I want to make sure that my dragon's mesh is done. So currently For those of you who follow me on Instagram, you're probably thinking I'm crazy with all the lists and stuff that I put out. I'm just like, whatever. So, you know, let's see if we can print screen. Let's select this area. Okay, so this is kind of some of the stuff that I wanted to be able to go through and work on. Gracias, Yesid. Mi español es chileno, así que si no te gusta, pues que te aguantas. Aguántate. No, so just saying, I've got Chilean Spanish, and so, you know, if you don't like Chilean Spanish, just put up with it. So this is kind of the idea, some of the things that I want to be able to look through. Let me pull out my list. I like to make lists. I don't have a list written down right now for these things, so I'm going to write them down. So things that I want to work on. I do the same thing at work too. It's really, really helpful. Dragon topology. We're gonna say mountain with two eyes. Okay, that's weird. Topology. I'm gonna put posing, kind of like topology / posing on on this. Eating more chocolate, because that's always important. In fact, I'm going to put a star next to that. Eat chocolate. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Develop character. Okay, foliage on tree. And what I'm referring to by foliage around tree is like the grass and things like that, bushes, whatever it is I decide to actually make for that. So currently that's kind of what I'm at. And then somebody said that I should dab whenever I finish something. So let's just I'm gonna save this if it'll let me. There we go. I can save that. I'm going to just put it to my desktop because I can. Okay, we'll call that good. Listo para verte en acción. Está bien eso. Alright. So, let's come over here. Candyland. El dragón. Okay, so one of the things I like to do is I like to make sure that I kind of hide my old files. I don't like to have my old files out in the open where I can mistakenly click on it. So I'm going to take old Candyland. So now I've got Candyland 12, which is the most recent. I've got Dragon B2, which is the most recent, and this is the one that has topology on it. Okay, and then I've got things like, Peanut, Rope, Z-Sphere Branch. Okay, just little Z-Tool files that I can pull in if I wanted to, or if I needed to. Okay, so this is really cool. This is so cool, guys. I mean, it's so much fun seeing different languages. I love seeing Spanish. I love Spanish. I like seeing English. Really just whenever people come and have fun. What about you, Ruchung? Is that let me see. Actually, let's try plugging that into translate. Do you have a YouTube channel to track? Yes. Yes. YouTube. If you look me up, you can pretty much find me anywhere if you just look for Smartest. Plug that in. You look for this Space Girl, or you can look for anything that has, Smartest After Party, Steven Anderson. So, yeah. So yes, I do have YouTube. You can find me pretty much anywhere. Just look up Smartest. Let's open up our dragon. Okay. So this is kind of where we've left off with the dragon. Now there's a lot left to do to make this so that it works. Okay. Last week we were able to get it so that the feet have, you know, decent usable topology. Okay. Which is cool. Okay. I mean, there are other things that we'd want to be able to have happen. So, like, I mean, this is eventually going to look more like this. Okay, so smoothed out, it's going to look a little bit smoother. So that's just kind of the fun of it. Okay. So, I'm going to come up to this part of the dragon. Let's see if we can figure out, one of the important things is I want to go through and join the arms to the body. Okay. And I like the noodle look. Okay. I mean, this is supposed to be really cartoony, it's supposed to be really fun, so having it be, you know, kind of more Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs sort of look, I think that works better than going through and having a ton of really tight anatomy sort of look. So for this, what I want to do, I'm going to start by counting around. Okay, let me turn off the fill and maybe turn it back on. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 edges going around. Okay, so to be able to get that to line up with what's up here, got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, cool. So we're going to need 3 faces, like 2 by 3, coming in up here. Okay, so what we want, skip that until next restart. Great. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead, I'm going to hold Alt and make an alternative polygroup over that. Just really, really easy. Okay, so now what I want to do, let's go ahead and we're going to hit, and I'm considering whether or not to do the other side as well, to do the back end. Okay, insert an edge loop there, insert an edge loop there. Okay, I'm assuming that the legs on both the front and the back are the exact same because they're duplicated. Howdy Spicer. This isn't Twitch. You are correct, my friend. But you can view it on Twitch if you go to Twix. You can tell what's on my mind right now. I want a candy bar. In fact, that was up too high. You can go to twitch.tv/pixelogic, and that'll get you to the right channel. So yeah, twitch.tv/pixelogic. And if everything's working properly, it looks like it is, we'll get an ad. But yeah, this is kind of it's kind of one of the things that just drives you nuts, right? That's just what ads are there for. But after 30 to 60 seconds of ad torture, you will have the live stream on Twitch. To my experience, Twitch is much more live and, you know, up to speed with the rest of you know, with what I'm actually doing. So it's let me see. Yeah, it looks like it's maybe 10 seconds behind. But generally speaking, oh, look at that. It's starting to give me infinity screen. This is funny. Anyway, we'll go ahead. We'll get away from that. We don't need it. But yeah. So what we want to do, okay, I want to start to make something of a rounder shape. Okay, so I'm just going to use slide edge to just kind of pull these out just a little bit. We'll do slide by brush radius on the points as well, just to give it just a little bit more roundness. Okay, you see how it's starting to be a little bit rounder. There's a lot to tweak and play with. And we'll be adding in intermediate edge loops along here eventually when we go ahead and we add Tum the Phantom. Tum the Phantom. Tum to tum tum tum. Come on. Órale! For those of you who follow Gabriel Iglesias. Órale! It's just funny. Just a funny little comedian dude. Okay, I'm gonna turn off perspective. I don't need perspective on at the moment. And we're going to turn this to edge loop partial, just to make sure that it's kind of coming in more straight over. Hey, Ghost. It's funny, so usually, let me show you real quick. So we get this cool app over here. I don't need this. Salud. Ay, vey. Okay, we get this cool app over here called Restream, and that's what helps us to be able to stream to multiple platforms. And this particular app is what allows us to be able to see the chat from all the different platforms, from Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. So that's how I'm able to answer your questions. Otherwise, I have to pay attention to what's happening over here, and that text is way too little. For me to read anyway. For you guys, it might be a little bit better. Oh, thank you very much. But yeah, so this is kind of how we keep track of the chat, and so yeah, it's kind of nice. I get your messages long before you get mine. Okay. Whew. Good golly. Good golly, Miss Molly. Okay, cool. Cool. Okay, so one of the things I got to go through and do is I've got to go through and I've got to start to figure out, well, I can come in here and I can inset, oh, I want to change it to inset region. You see it's insetting both at the same time, so that's good. Okay, so yep, still has the 2x3 on each side. Okay, so 3, 5, 3, 5, so that's 10 going around. That's the important part. Okay, so that way our leg and the body of the dragon can mesh together. I can bridge them together when I combine them. Something that I need to go through and do is I need to make sure that all of this anatomy is working the way that I need it to. It's a little bit lumpy, so we're just going to kind of come through here and tweak it. And then I need to figure out, I think that taking this and moving it in a little bit. Oh, what is happening here? Oh, interesting. I guess for some reason my mind was reading it that it was not working the way that I was wanting it to, and I was about to be a little bit kind of, peeved. Okay, so let's see, let's turn off solo. got to make sure that this whole thing is filled with skin shade. I'm going to actually come up and use my plugin, Subtool Master. I'm going to hit fill. Okay, I'm going to fill with just material. I'm going to hit OK, and that's going to fill all of the subtools, all the visible subtools, with that material. Really helpful. Really appreciate it. Okay, let me see if proportion-wise things are kind of working for me. I like the front legs. I think that these back legs, though, I think that they could use a little bit of shortening. Not like vegetable shortening or anything like that, though. Oops. We just want to shorten that piece a little bit. Let's give it maybe a little bit less up here. Make it just a little bit shorter. Ninja Penguin. Ninja Penguin is such a cool username. Trying to go through. I need to mute my phone so that it doesn't bother. Yeah, it's been interesting. I've been watching Gotham lately, and you're probably not named. You probably didn't pick your username based off of Penguin from Batman, but I mean, I was just thinking just how super stellar, like how well cast the character is, and how it's kind of. I want to play up the fact that this is the back leg, so we're gonna start to play with some of these shapes a little bit. Okay, let's see. Okay, so right now that's coming in, that's great. But yeah, so I really enjoy how Penguin was cast, and I feel like it's a very fresh look at the character. Really, really fun. Yes, so I'm planning the topology exactly like that, so that I can use ZModeler to bridge them together. I don't know if you were around a second ago when I was counting the, what's it called? The edge loops. But yeah, and that's exactly what I was doing, is making sure that the edge loops going around, that they match. Okay, so I'm going to come over here, I'm going to say transpose edge loop complete, so that'll mask out everything but that. I love ZBrush, guys. This is like my recreational time for the week. Just getting to get on here and just play with ZBrush. I keep hoping to get to a point where I can use ZBrush more at work, because it's extremely helpful and powerful, and I really enjoy using ZBrush. The term that they use in the, just kind of around the hood, I like to call people that like to use exclusively ZBrush cowboys. And being from Texas, I definitely appreciate the term. Yeah. Yeah, Gotham's a really fun show. I super enjoy how it's written. The characters are really fun. I feel like Bruce Wayne himself is an interesting character because he's such a wise child. Like just wisdom beyond his years type of kid. So I find it interesting. I find that interesting. But I love Alfred. I love Jim Gordon. And just seeing the different characters and the way that they were cast, the backstories, the way that they come connected. It's just fun. Just really fun. Let's see if we can use some of this. I'm just going to try to tweak this around a little bit. Trying to figure out. Yeah, I want this to. I used gecko's feet as my primary inspiration. From Texas, unsubbed. How dare you? Oh man, that means you got to unsub from Brett Briley, from Ana Carolina, from so many other people, my friend. So many other people. We Texans, we're a fine breed. We're fine people. But it's okay. It's okay. Like really, honestly, I don't generally claim Texas as my absolute home, though I could. My family lives there currently. My parents, my youngest siblings, the oldest of 5. So it's too much. I definitely need more points down there. So in order to add more points down here toward the tip of the tail, I'm just going to hold Control and Shift. And I'm going to go down to Slice Curve. And this is just a really quick, easy way to just add a little bit of topology down there. It's tricky because it'll add topology wherever you slice. Okay. So if you don't want topology somewhere, don't use it. And you got to be paying attention because it'll go all the way through and it does not have symmetry. So if you have your perspective turned off and you're kind of doing it at a scawampus little angle, it's not going to be a very super smooth sort of transition. It's going to give you kind of a crooked line, just crooked. It's just going to be crooked, guys. Just crooked. Okay. So far that's kind of working. I do need to add in one right here. I just kind of want to use this to shape it some. Oh, why is that? I think intensity by default, something like that. When you're using this tool, it'll snap to different degree increments. I can't remember how many, but it will. So if you don't want it to do that, you can just normal, like you would. You have to activate it by holding Control and Shift, and so you see it's kind of snapping to little angles. But if you let go of Shift and keep holding Control, you can just kind of choose your own. So really nice and easy. You can do that. And then if you want to, you can hold spacebar to kind of reposition it, figure out something new, figure out something different. Okay. Cool. So I'm going to take this part. Let's just kind of polish it a little bit. Okay, let me see. Okay. Okay, so I'm just kind of go little by little in kind of curving this tail the way that I want it. And kind of go back and forth between move tool, move brush. This body is not the way that I want it, so it might just end up being something that we kind of go through and tweak at some point. Let's line this up a little bit better with the shindig, referring of course to the leg. It has a shin, and I'm sure it could dig. So where's everybody from tonight? And what do you do? Are you a student? Are you working professional? Are you hobbyist? Are you just simply curious about what ZBrush can do? What areas of production are you interested in? Are you into toys? Are you into media? Are you into manufacturing of any kind? What is it that you like? Let me see. I'm gonna want that to kind of come down, something like that, maybe. We'll see. Let's put it all together now. Okay, so right now we've got our main dragon body. Okay, we have the legs somewhere. We're gonna want to take this all the way up and put it just beneath our character's head and body. Animation at Purdue, huh? Huh. Interesting. I don't know that I'm not super familiar with Purdue. Where's that one at? Okay, let's go ahead and hit merge down. Okay. Okay, so now we've got the body and the legs together. And I'm actually wondering it might be nicer if I kind of shorten these forearms just a little bit, just to make sure that I get that whole piece. Okay. That'll be a little bit better. Let's take this, just kind of pull it up some, maybe. Maybe not quite that much though. Cool. Sweet. Alright. Indiana, not very well known for animation. Engineering, yeah, see, engineering is kind of more what I was familiar about Purdue with. Then it seemed like they have typically a pretty good basketball team. Okay, cool. All right, let's go ahead. Let's do this thing. I'm going to get rid of that polygroup because that's going to be what's going to allow us to connect our holes together, to connect these pieces together. And in fact, let's get rid of that one too. I don't really need that. I do want to make sure that I have every other polygroup island in there that I need though. And it looks good. Okay, cool. So now what we can do, we've hidden pieces, but they're not gone, so we got to go down to geometry, modify topology, delete hidden. And with ZModeler, plain and simple, you can bridge two holes. I'm in the edge actions, bridge two holes. I'm going to do polygroup flat. Okay. I'm going to do, well, we could do interactive resolution, that's fine. Interactive curvature, sure, whatever. Okay, cool. So we're going to click the first hole. Okay, so by dragging up and down, we can determine how our resolution, like how much resolution we have. We don't want a ton. In fact, the one edge loop through there is probably fine. I'm going to come over here. Let's figure this one out. That looks like that'll be good. It's lined up properly. It's one thing that we want to make sure that we check. Okay. And now I'm just going to come through here, and I want to smooth things out. I want to make sure that the transition is nice and smooth. Let's see. Doing well in basketball these past few years. Heading to the Elite 8 after we beat Tennessee. Sweet. Congratulations on that. I hope that goes well. I hope that goes well. It's always nice when you're going to school somewhere to see the sports teams do well. Regardless of whether or not you follow the sports team, it's kind of just good for morale for the school. You know, I feel like test scores are better if the teams are doing well, just because it boosts the whole camaraderie of the entire school. In high school, I played a lot of soccer. And it was super great. Wasatch Wasps. We got 4th in state the year that I was a freshman. I was traveling with the varsity team. It was really, really cool, but I was still 3rd string goalkeeper. Really, really neat experience though, and it was so much. I just felt like I felt like it was easier to do well for school if the team is doing well. It's kind of an interesting interesting principle. So yeah, I hope your team does well. Okay. So now one of the things that I can do, I want to add this purple. I want to kind of diffuse it into the groups around it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to Control-Shift-click on the blue, Control-Shift-X to grow. I don't want this pink down here, so I'm just going to hide it. Okay, but that purple is good. I'm going to hit Control-W, so now you can see that's part of that group now. Okay, so same thing up here. I can just Control-Shift-click on that, so now I've got the purple and the red. Control-W. It's another green. It doesn't matter, but it's nice to be able to see the difference, to see the boundaries. So yeah, I usually try to, oops, need to change to in fact let's make the tail just a little bit longer. Okay, something like that. Come on. I forget to do that like entirely too often. Okay, I just gotta get like a little bit of polish by features, and that'll help to kind of smooth out these lines. Okay, it's just kind of a nice little trick. Now the other thing I want to do is I want to make sure that these joints are also that they're full of the same color as the rest of the body, because that's kind of weird having them like that. But this is much better. Okay. Turn off transparent. Okay, so we are practically there. Now there are a lot of other things that I can do and things that I want to do at some point, including making the jelly on the inside of the mouth. These like the gums. It's supposed to be like a jelly-filled donut. Kind of funny. I want to go through and make it look a little more lumpy, so that it's like, you know, somebody spread jelly on the inside of the donut. But yeah. Ninja Penguin on Twitch says, I was kind of wondering how you broke into the industry, if you don't mind me asking. Let me make an analogy. Okay, these boats are intended for breaking up ice. They kind of go ahead of other boats, and you know, either they kind of break up the ice in front of the other boat, or they'll go and they'll make a channel in the ice for boats to kind of be rescued and be able to come out of the ice. Not to say that I'm an icebreaker, but I feel like my journey into the industry is more like these icebreaker boats. It's not like it touches the ice and all of a sudden it like there's a big pathway for you. It's more like, you know, little by little it kind of creeps up onto the ice and breaks it down, and creeps up onto the ice, breaks it down, creeps up, breaks it down, and little by little you creep along and get this trail kind of coming behind you. So for me, I've seen kind of this, you know, there's a whole lot of work that goes into it. So a whole lot of myself kind of pushing myself up onto this ice, and then and then a little bit of a break, you know. So I'd be creeping up, and I got some freelance, and then I creeped up, I got some bigger freelance, I creeped up, I got a teaching job, creeping up, I got my job with Warner Brothers Games, creeping up, got a sculpting competition, got got DreamWorks, got Disney. So it's really kind of like this path of like really working hard, and kind of creeping up, and then getting a little break, and then creeping up, getting a little break. It's actually a really good analogy. I should make a video about that. I'm going to keep this out. Add to my list. Mastera. That's a cool name for a ship. I want a ship named Mastera. Okay. Cool. Hot diggity dog. So yeah, that's kind of how it works, and I think that it works. It works like that for a lot of people. Sadly, like when I was trying to get into the industry, at the very beginning, it was really frustrating, and it's still kind of frustrating. It's a tough industry to be in. It really is. Because it is so competitive, and beyond that, it's just, let's add in an extra loop here, and then we'll just delete that one. Because it's so competitive, but also because it's so volatile. Like if you read about kind of like the history on DreamWorks or even any other big studio, you'll see most places have had major layoffs periodically. Okay, it's not to say that they're looking always to be able to lay everybody off, it's but it's just kind of crummy when it happens to you. But yeah, so yes, so it's kind of terrible from that standpoint, that you're always kind of competing, you're always having to stay super on top of things. Not that you shouldn't be doing it anyway. It's just that there really isn't job security. So it's a hard industry to get into, and it's a hard one to stay in. It's one of those things that I always want to try to be very honest about. Do I work in a game studio? No, I do not. Currently, I work for Walt Disney Imagineering in Los Angeles. So I'm working on things for Disneyland Tokyo, which would be really cool someday if I can go and visit it. I need to work on my Japanese. Okay, don't need to, but it'd be cool too. But before, I have worked at Warner Brothers Games in Salt Lake City. I went through a car accident and was unable to keep up with my job duties, and so I was let go. And that was a really hard time for me. That was kind of that was a really hard time, because that was really kind of my first big job for a big studio, big name studio. So I guess it kind of depends on who you ask, because I've worked for other big clients too before that. But that's the first one that I consider my first big break, like those icebreakers. Howdy, Mitch. A lot of the big video game companies have just laid off a lot of staff. EA, Activision, Blizzard, etc. Yeah, it's interesting because EA, if you ever look into like the employee satisfaction surveys or whatever they call those, EA is constantly rated one of America's least favorite companies to work for. They do some amazing work, they hire some amazing talent, and they have really amazing properties that they work with. But to my understanding, they're one of the hardest companies to work with. I don't know why that is, but that's something that I remember seeing in old job surveys a long time ago. So maybe things have changed. If they did, that'd be awesome, because they really do. They turn out some amazing projects and they work with some amazing people, and some amazing properties, like I was saying. So yeah. Kiev 1N. Awesome. You're awesome. Okay, so right here, this is where I'm trying to figure out, okay, so the topology is going one way. I want the anatomy to have a specific feel to it, a specific flow. And so I got to be really careful how I allow that topology to fall, how I allow it to happen. Okay, one of the things that's kind of nice is that if I am thinking about, come on, you. If I am thinking about different breaks and different, in fact, let's use this. Not insert transpose, please. Okay. I can use my polygroups as a way to be able to guide how I shape my character. This is a technique that I learned from Zach Petrock. He's been a really incredible mentor for me for a few years, and it's something that he does is he goes through and he controls things with polygroups like this. So he's able to mask things out and control the shapes, little by little. He's so much faster than I am, but whatever. He's been in the industry way longer than I have too. And I'm just here having fun. So whatever, right? Whatever. Capiro to Africano. How many years to reach your level in ZBrush? I bet you're probably already past my level in ZBrush. So I started in ZBrush in 2012. I was still in school. I was getting ready to graduate a few months afterward, and I was studying into things that were happening in the animation industry, because that's what I wanted to go into. At the time, I was aiming to be a 3D character modeler for Disney, and so I was reading into some of the technologies and things that they use, and ZBrush was at the top of the list. And a friend of mine had it, and he really enjoyed it. He actually did like lots of little figurines, and he was actually my introduction to 3D printing. Super cool. His name is Josh Cotton. He's not very well known in this industry, in these circles, but he does some really fun work, and really grateful to him for some of the things that he's taught me. But yeah, so Josh taught me a little bit about ZBrush, and then let me see, I'm trying to remember who else. There was somebody else that was like really into ZBrush. There was Garrett Oyos. He's been around some of the bigger studios. Who else? Who else? Okay, so here's a trick. Polygroup Island. I'm going to take this, I'm going to hold shift to be able to select that polygroup, and then I can just apply that polygroup to that island right there. And if you hold alt, you can just kind of change that up so that it's something unique. Poly loop. There we go, something like that. I'm just trying to make sure now that I have different polygroups applied to be able to really define my mesh. Okay. Cool. So this area right here needs some TLC. I'm going to bring this back. Let's play with this some. See if we can figure out what it is that we want this to do. I want to make sure that the edge flow goes like that it doesn't kind of deviate too much from as straight of a line as it should be, as it could be. While at the same time trying to make sure that the topology can help describe the forms, because that's what the topology is there for. You know what I'm saying? Okay. It's funny, so I had a supervisor at one point that told me that you can't do good topology inside of ZBrush, and I was just like, now hold on. Okay, let's go ahead and so yeah, I've kind of gone through my goal with ZBrush has been to figure out really decent topology, and using simple tools. Okay, so like using things like if you've been watching and following these past couple of weeks, whenever I'm working on this in specific, this in particular, you'll see that I use simple things like the topology brush, or I use Z-remesher and Z-modeler, or I'll use just simple things, and it's been extremely helpful. And I think people, like, the more people can get into preparing topology inside of ZBrush, I think the better off they'll be. Let's kind of bring that back up because that was sliding down too much. Take that up a little bit. There we go. It's starting to look like something. Okay, I don't like this shape, so let's just kind of round that, change the curve of it a little bit. So yeah, if anybody ever tells you that something's not doable where something can oh, Mitch. Oh, Mitch. I just barely saw your message there about EA. Your open letter to EA. You know what? Let's not use that one. Let's ZModeler. We'll say insert single edge loop. Sweet. Yeah, we'll do that. Yep. Let's do this, this, and this. And then let's go ahead and we'll, yep, that looks good. Yep, let's say mess by polish, this sort of thing here going on. Interesting. Where was I? There it is. Look at that. Look at that. The morph degrade slider. Yeah. Oh, you know what I ought to do? Let's actually just do this. Let's say slide edge loop complete, and we'll just kind of do our own manual polish. We'll have to see how well this turns out, but it takes a little bit of like zooming in and zooming out to try to figure out the spacing and seeing if it works. Okay, I'm just trying to make sure that I get things as evenly spaced as possible. Eventually I'm going to want to come in here and like add in an intermediate edge loop so that it's so that's more square. Okay, so you can see kind of like coming over the shoulder. I mean, it's not perfectly square, but it's decently all right there, you know. Yeah. Okay, so that doesn't need to be as thick. Let's kind of bring this in a little bit. Yeah, this process is kind of tedious. There's a lot of kind of back and forth to it, but it's totally worth it. So don't let yourself get lazy with it. So wait, Mitch, what studio did they just shut down? I actually didn't hear about this. When was it? Let's take this. One of my favorite things to do as ZModeler is to take the mask edge loop partial and be able to just kind of mask out little bits and pieces like this. Oh, and if I wanted to, I could just leave that or whatever. But this allows me to control just single edge loops. It works kind of the same way as the transpose edge loop thing. But just works in a slightly different way. The reason I stumbled upon this one, or the option to be able to, you can do the same thing with polygroups or faces, or I think points as well. Do all sorts of things. Masking techniques are truly boundless now, which is awesome. Let's go ahead and do this. But I discovered the mask edge loop tool because at one point, just for me, it didn't seem like it was happening for everybody, but just for me, the transpose edge loop tool inside of the ZModeler was not working for me. And I needed it to work for me. So, I did what any regular dude would do, and I panicked. No, I'm just kidding. I started looking for solutions. I started trying to figure out what else I could do. There's got to be another way, sort of thing. And there was. I was able to find the mask edge loop function, and then shortly thereafter was able to find things like the whatchamadiggit, mask polygon, and the points and all that. And it's been really, really nice. Okay, let's get into, let's do something like, let's do this, and then I got an idea. Let's do this, and we'll say, we'll bring this up here. Let's see. Saving file in progress. Okay. Okay. So some of what I'm trying to look at now, I'm trying to decide, you know what, maybe what I need to do is I need to add in another edge loop or 2 or 3. We'll see. Okay, so let's use our slide. We'll figure this out. Let's see. I think I actually want one more. So here's what I'm going to do. We'll slide that down. I think that's a little bit better. Cool. So we'll take these, Control W just to unite them, and now we're good to go. That looks like a good set of topology. Let's add in one more edge loop in here, just because I feel like we should. Let's do this. Just going to kind of take that up. I kind of want to continue the same density in the tail that we had in the body, and I feel like that. Oh, so now finally my app is showing me. One of the cool things about this app that I was showing you earlier is that if we look down at the bottom, it'll show us how many people are watching. Yeah, it's kind of fun. So if I've ever learned anything from my streams, I got a lot to learn. It's the same thing with me, Mitch. I've got a lot to learn. I learned the same things from my stream that you learn. I've got a lot to learn. So yeah, it'll show me how many people are viewing at a certain time, which to me is pretty cool. It's cool that I can do that, and I've got Big Brother kind of looking out for me. Just kidding. Okay, slide that down. Slide that down. Slide that down. Slide this down. Okay, so to a certain point, I think we're starting to be kind of all right. Okay, again, I want these pieces to be just to make sure that's all I've got. Make that all a single poly group. Control W. Make it something that stands out. There we go. All right. It's yeah, the low poly tools in ZBrush are definitely different. They have some similar tools in ZBrush as to what you would find in other programs like Topogun, or I guess not super similar to Topogun. That's a really bad example, actually. Because it works totally differently. In Topogun or in Maya, you have options to be able to kind of just drag polygons out. I do and I don't find that helpful, because there are times, and if I'm doing my topology inside of Maya, there are times where I want to be able to just kind of drag out a stream of faces just along my mesh, but it's not super often. My style of topology really deals a lot more with I like using the topology brush inside of ZBrush to be able to just drag out lines and create intersections, to be able to create Blender. No, I'm just kidding. Blender's getting better these days. First time I tried Blender, it was terrible. It was terrible, and so it was just really easy for me to kind of set my allegiances with with Maya. And although Blender is free and Maya cost me like $1,500 a year, I will not be renewing this year, by the way, unless I have a need for it. So it's just a pain in the butt. But although Blender is free, Maya is just something that's just always, like, I've gotten very, very used to it. And it's just been the one that, it's in the States, in the big studios, it's the package, it's the software package that's used together with ZBrush. I have never seen Blender used in the States in production. Not at a big studio, anyway. I have seen people do amazing things with it on an indie level, development for games, or other type, small scale development. Yeah, so places like Next Gen, but Next Gen wasn't created in the States, and not by a big studio. It was a great film, though. It turned out really, really nicely. Okay. There is our dragon. I think, let's actually do this, because I'm in the mood to make this tail just a little bit longer. Okay, no, maybe not quite that much. Hi, gorgeous. Hmm. She gets bashful. She doesn't like the idea about being on the streams, my wife. And so she just kind of quietly sneaks in, quietly sneaks out if she needs to. Trying to decide if I like having... It's just becoming too anatomical. So maybe what I'll do is I'll just kind of keep it more or less where it was. Cool. I might have to go grab a Claritin actually. And maybe some water. Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, it might have been. I don't know, but yeah, and then yeah, like you said, Ashley was one of the main character artists for that film. For Next Gen. If you haven't seen it on Netflix yet, go watch it. Even if you have seen it, it's worth a rewatch. Okay, I think I want to go through and kind of narrow this out a little bit back here. Just feels too thick. Ashley's here. Ashley's here. How are you doing? It's good to see from you. How did your stream go today? I didn't get to tune in at all. Yes, Ashley, you're the only one got a close-up. A new ZBrush feature that caught my attention the most. Oh, I gotta save this, by the way, because that's a really good idea. Don't forget to save. You're tired? It was lame? I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch it, or watch it so that I can tell you how unlame it is. Anyway, so yeah, here we go. This, people were asking about Blender and Next Gen. You worked on Next Gen, Ashley. So is that kind of the main package that you used, or did you use what all did you use to be able to create the character models that you worked on for the film? Just in case you're still there. If you're not still there, then I guess we'll just heckle you the next time we see you. Okay, cool. Yeah, we'll call this good. So, features in the new ZBrush trade secret. I'm glad you said that, because now Ashley can't say it, because then she'd be a copycat, and that'd be just dumb, right? You know, that'd be lame. Okay, so some of the things that caught my attention most in the new ZBrush was things like the folders, super helpful. Okay, let me come over here and let's take a look at some of the stuff that we can do with our new folders. So yeah, I'm gonna need to kind of get rid of some stuff. The dragons do look happy, except for the one that's being stepped on down here. That's something else that I want to go through and kind of play around with, is what that character down here in the bottom looks like. She used MS Paint. Good grief. Okay, so I'm having kind of an issue with some of what I'm going to want to do. So here's what I want to do. I want to use ZBrush to be able to create new topology. Okay, but I also want Blender for almost everything. Ashley says use ZBrush for sculpting though. I didn't have to do any of the final models, I just sculpted and handed it off. Then the sculpting was all finished and the retopos started coming in, switched to surfacing, and used Substance Painter and Blender for textures. Scratch that. MS Paint sounds way better. Yeah, no it doesn't. It's funny though. That's funny though. Okay, so a few things that I'm going to want to do. Right now I've got this piece that's kind of all on its own, but then I've also got this piece that's kind of all on its own. I want them to be together. So let's actually take this piece and we're going to combine it with, oh come on, shift, there we go. We're going to combine these pieces together because I want them to be welded together. I want them to be one single piece with the exception of the little rubble breaking off at the top. So here's what we're going to do. I'm just going to merge down. Okay. I'm going to make a new folder. I'm going to say mountain retopo is what I'm going to call this. And then let's just make sure that we don't have any other mountains on. We're good. Alright, cool. So what I want to do is I want to hide the little pebble pieces. Control Shift. Oh shoot. I meant to invert my visibility. Control Shift A, and that'll kind of unhide the whole consecutive piece. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to say split hidden. Okay, got that. I'm going to rename this actually. Mountain base, and since this piece is really faceted, I want to go through and make sure that it's not so faceted. So I'm just going to control click on that with my gizmo selected, and then I'm just going to kind of come through here, turn off my Z intensity. This is a trick I learned from Pablo Gomez. This dude is a stud. Look at this. Okay, so now you're not seeing a whole lot of change to the surface shape of the mesh, but my smooth is adding resolution. So you can see it's adding in resolution right there. So cool. So I can make this brush all the way up to 5,000, which is the maximum I have set for my brush size. And I can go through and make this smooth. And then I can just go ahead and hit polish a time or two or something like that. You know, something to make sure that I have a little bit less faceted look of a look on this, you know. Here's the other thing I'm going to do. I don't like how it's going through and generating the creasing. It's kind of weird. Uncrease all. let's go ahead and do that. Okay. Really cool trick. Okay, let's get rid of some of this down here too. It's not needed. So now that I have this, I just want to Dynamesh it. And the reason I want to Dynamesh it is it's just going to go through and it's going to make it all one single mesh. It's going to be completely hollow. Well, hollow. I mean, it's going to be welded and meshed together, so it'll just be nice. Just started using Substance in your school. You can get some really great results with it, yeah. And my first experience using Substance was at Warner Brothers Games, and that was awesome. It was a really great experience getting to learn how to use it, and quick save. Saving's a good idea. But yeah, I mean, it's been a super handy tool. One of the things I want to figure out how to do better is how to take maps out of ZBrush, just to be able to kind of skip on baking a little bit inside of Substance Painter. So that's something that I'll probably go through and figure out how to do when I super sculpt my my dragon, so I can do like the high level details and things like that. That'll be fun. Anyway, so Decimation Master, let's take this down. It's at 2 million. Let's take it down to 250,000. I like having those presets there. And while that's thinking, I'm gonna get a cough drop and maybe a Claritin and maybe a sip of water. I'll be back. Did it work? It looks like it worked. It looks like it worked. My Halls wrapper says, bet on yourself. Inspirational messages from Halls. Put a little strut in it. Turn can do into can did. High five yourself. In high school, I was in Fiddler on the Roof. And that was one of the things that we always did, you know, because like in Fiddler on the Roof, when they're like celebrating at the wedding party, they're always like, you know, like, woo, yeah, this is one of the things that they do. Which I suppose maybe it's a Jewish custom at celebrations. I don't really know. I haven't been to Jewish weddings or Jewish bar mitzvahs or anything like that, so I wouldn't be able to tell you for sure. But it was pretty stinking cool. Okay, let me see. I just want to make sure that I've got the right color. Fill object. Okay. So, what I'm going to do, now that I have this Dynameshed and whatchamadiggits, Dynamesh is turned off now, which is great. I think it does it automatically when you decimate, which is so cool. It's so cool, guys. Okay, so I'm just going to come in here. Let's just see if we can get a good Z-remesher out of it. I'm going to turn off adapt, turn adaptive size down, we're going to say detect edges. And what that's going to do is it's going to try to figure out, okay, this looks like an edge. I'm going to try to make my edge loops go along that. That's, you know, the hope. Now, I mean, I guess I could go through in here and I could say, oh, I don't want Sculptress mode on right now. Just make it so that it's a little bit more, looks more like chocolate cliffs of chocolatiness. Hola, Renzo. Oh, is my computer super custom computer? No, it is not. It's a nice one. It's just a laptop. Okay. It's an Acer Predator. Okay. It has, you know, full 1080p resolution screens. Pretty cool. But what's really cool about this computer is that it's got, you know, Core 7 i7 processor. But then on top of that, it's also got 32 gigs of RAM. It's also got the GTX 1080. Okay, so it's got a really nice processor and graphics card. It works really decently well for me for a laptop. But I decided to get a laptop instead of yeah, it's pretty loaded. I decided to get a laptop instead of a desktop because the mobility of it is really helpful to me. Some people don't care about the mobility, but I do. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of come through here just to kind of unify the meshes a little bit, just to give it a little bit of a you know, hey, this is what this surface is, you know, or like this is where the surface changes. Trim Adaptive is really good for this sort of stuff too. Can be. Turn on my Z add. I tend to use the trim dynamic most though, because trim adaptive is kind of tricky to control. That being said, if you know any cool trim adaptive tricks, I would love to hear them. More than anything, I like to use, like, you know, clay buildup. Trying to figure out if one of my kids is up. No, it sounds like it's coming from outside. Sounds like it's coming from the outside. Okay, anyway. We're gonna call this enough-ish. And sides with so the way that they did their rock for How to Train Your Dragon, which is where I, you know, primarily learned how to do rock, is that they would have, you know, they would sculpt something and then they would run an automatic retopology on it, and then they would use some very, you know, just simple like pinch brush techniques to be able to create the shaping that they wanted, which is cool. Turn on AccuCurve. AccuCurve, what it does is it kind of gives you more of like this point in the middle wherever you're ZBrush is. So, and I don't know if it actually works for everything or not, but I do know that it works really well with the move brushes. And so this is one that I learned from all sorts of people because I keep forgetting about it until recently. I'm so terrible. Yeah, Michael Pavlovich is one that I learned it from. I think I actually learned it maybe from Ashley as well. I've learned it from Joseph Drust, from Paul Gabry. All sorts of people. Everybody knows this stinking trick. But it's okay. It's okay. I will totally just accept the fact that I have lots to learn. Okay. Just gonna try to adjust some of these things the way that the surfaces are meeting. The reason I'm going through all this trouble right now is that I want to run ZRemesher, but if I run it with the wrong base shape, like the shape not quite the way I want it, then it's not going to, it's going to turn out further from where I want it to be. And so by working on this and figuring out as much of this base shape as I can, it's allowing me to get closer and have hopefully a better resolution with the whatchamadiggits, with the ZRemesher. Let me see. Did somebody say chocolate? Yes, the sound is coming from the fan. I wanted to get the model above the model that I got, which had liquid cooling, but no such luck. Yes, so I am able to stream with the OBS and do my 3D modeling and sculpting everything at the same time. Yeah, AccuCurve is the best above all else. Just like Microsoft Paint. Oh my gosh. You too much. You are too much, Mr. Cake, Mrs. Cake, Mr. Mrs. Cake. Awesome cake. Actually, I actually don't know your name, Cake. What is your name? That's one of the tricky things about streaming, is that you get to be friends with these really cool people, and you don't know who it is that you're talking to. Let's see. Mike. Mike is a good name. My middle name is Michael, so I can call myself something of a biased professional opinion on the matter. Okay. That's not a good little hole there, so let's go ahead and we're going to close that up. Cool. We'll call that good enough. 'Tis a curse. Depends on who's calling, I guess. I keep finding little things that I just want to play with. Okay. Yep, stop. Steven, stop. Steven, just hit ZRemesher. Okay, just stop. Stop. Okay, yeah, no. I'm just gonna kind of eliminate some of this. Alright, okay, yeah, that's what I said last time. Alright, so hit ZBrush. First it said save. Well, it's funny because Ashley, if you think about it, dude from South Africa named Ashley. Nice guy. Nice guy. Cool accent. He does not know Trevor Noah. I don't think. Okay. ZBrush. Who am I? Don't worry. You are a friend and we are here for you. There's a support group for people like you, actually. We'll keep you. Hello from the land down under. Good to see you, Sparky. How you doing? Ooh, it worked. Okay. So, this is where we go through, shake our head disapprovingly, hit Control-Shift-D to be able to keep a copy of what it is that we just turned out, because it's not really going to cost us anything. Control-Z on the other copy. And I see that 5 is pretty alright, but let's turn it to 10. So what this is going to do is it's going to shoot for thousands of polygons. Okay, so Ashley's anonymous. Everyone, arcade machine ever. I'm so unspecial. You are not unspecial. You're not unspecial. I'm gonna hold Alt and do ZBrush with a higher polygon count. See what that gives me. Mike, you can be Legion. There was another mic on here too. There's Mike, there's Mick, there's I would join you because you have cake. It's very obvious by your name that you are Cake Machine, so, you know, it's okay to join you. Sparky. Very cool. Working on a squirrel wearing armor. Wait, Ninja Penguin is also Steven? Dude, I'm glad that we can all unite in our basicness. You guys are great. So that's the tricky question, Will. Right now, because we're at a stage where we're really just trying to figure out our base, we don't really need a ton per se, but one of the hard things Yeah, no, that could work. Okay, I took that adaptive size down to 0. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to duplicate that off. Undo. Let's take the adaptive size up to 50. You know what? Let's take it down to like 20 something. Turn adapt back on. Hold Alt. Do this again. I do, when I'm looking for topology using automatic topology, I go through several different versions. To be able to see, how well I can preserve my sculpted detail, and how well I can preserve the form. The form is most important to me. I want to make sure that topology adheres to those forms as much as possible. Oh boy, that looks like it's turning into a cult there, Ghost. Yeah, turning too many A's in there. It's kind of creepy. You know what, this doesn't really look any different than the other version. Oh, no, it's different. Okay, so this is the current one that it turned out. And it's like it's the Super A cult. There's a bug in the room somewhere. Just flew in front of my face. I hate that. It drives me nuts. C'est la vie, right? That's what they say. That is what they say. Okay, I like this new one. I think what we're gonna do. Yay, nay, yay, 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 nay, yay. So, Wester es uno de los colombianos en el Summit. A ver. Yeah, YouTube is behind. YouTube is kind of... Oh, Alejandro. El colombiano disfrazado de mexicano. Yeah, welcome to Better Than YouTube. It's true. It's true. Really, like, Twitch is better than the YouTubes. Okay. I think we'll accept this. There are parts of this that we'll eventually, or that we could eventually go through and just get rid of. For instance, we could just get rid of the whole bottom. I'm just going to control... Oh, here's an idea. We can use the slice curve to just kind of pull up, just like that. And then we're just going to Control-Shift-Click on the green part because that's the part we want to keep. And then I'm just going to get rid of this part over here because we don't need that. Okay, so now let's do this. Modify topology, delete hidden. Now, hold Alt and Z remesher. That'll be better. So the adapt, what adapt does, if you hover over the tool tip, it'll go through and it'll say something to the effect of use an adaptive polygon size with the Z remesher. So that'll affect things like how far away, where it'll allow it to go away from a more perfect square. So like if you look along here, you'll see some of these. I see it's trying to keep as uniform as squares in these flat areas as possible, But then in these areas where there are tight turns and twists, it's you know, in these tight little crannies, it's got these long, narrow polygon faces. So that's what that does. And then the nice thing about going through and having an open side, an open face like that, is that ZRemesher will go through and it'll try to keep that as clean as possible. And so you see, I mean, it's kept it really nice and flat, nice and even. Looks good. That's the best one yet. Okay, we're gonna keep that one. We're gonna keep it. Cool. So, with the other ones, I'm just gonna save this. Let's save it to 13, because why not? Okay. So now here, I just want to go ahead, I'm just going to delete the other ones. Okay. And then here's this other piece. These are not pieces that are needed. Oh. Kind of change to my select rectangle. Get rid of those pieces. Oh, there's another little something down there. There we go, that's better. Delete hidden. Okay. So with these pieces, you can mask the edges and ZRemesh to preserve the edges. There are a lot of tricks and things to using ZRemesher. I like to use those open edges if I can. Yeah, so getting rid of triangles. I'll be working on a tutorial series over the next little while, talking about my technique for creating robot skins. Oh, good grief. It's the same technique that I used to be able to get my base topology for characters like my dragon, like I was working on earlier. Oh, good grief. Faunabots, Fishbot, Z files. Should be that one, right? Yeah, it should be that one. Okay, so to be able to get like come on, you. Hey, fishy, 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 fishy. Okay, come on. There we go. So you see I've got like this clean topology flow. I was able to get myself most of the way there using ZRemesher. So the course that I'm going to be working on is dealing with how to do that. Okay, so how to make good, clean topology, something that you can go ahead and you can take into other applications for texturing, for rendering, for rigging and animating, whatever. Because this is something that's good and clean, ready to go. Okay, nice clean surfaces, good clean bevels down here, and it all has very clean, crisp topology to be able to work with. I think I still have maybe some pieces to work with. Nope, those are done too. But yeah, lots of things kind of going on with this. Everything just you need to work on kind of figuring out just how exactly your panels fit together, and yeah, my process just kind of deals with that. So it'll be cool, but it won't come out until probably closer to like Labor Day or something like that. So I don't know, we'll have to see. But yeah, same process to be able to achieve my dragon topology that I had here. I didn't get the whole topology by a simple ZRemesher, but I was able to get it maybe 80% of the way there, and then I was able to go ahead and clean it up. So it's a really nice thing to figure out how to use those topology tools. The simple things that they have inside of ZBrush, the topology brush, oh, that's the problem. I've got AccuCurve still on. You are no longer needed, my friend. No longer needed. It's funny because sometimes you got to get like really close to figure out if something's working or not. Sometimes you got to really back up. It's kind of like a... No, I didn't actually ever finish the dolphin. I had started working on an environment when I was first streaming, and it's a cool environment. It's one that I really like, and one that I would really like to be able to finish at some point. But there was a lot of kind of complaining that, you know, it's boring or whatever, and it just, you know, people trolling, whatever, right? So anyway, I went through and decided, you know, I'm going to switch it up. And then one week I went ahead and played with the dolphin idea and started working on that dolphin bot, which was a cool idea-ish. But then people started complaining about that, and so it's just like, you know, you can't win. You just gotta kind of play and just have fun and not worry so much about what everybody else is thinking. Because I come and I have fun and whatever, right? It's not about you guys, it's about me. Just kidding. Oh, I gotta finish getting rid of some of these. Delete edge. So it's funny. It is really stupid funny how after I went through and created this, I totally thought of a simpler technique I could have used to do the same stinking thing. I was like, good golly, come on. With primitive shapes, you have the option to be able to use initialized functions to be able to get yourself to a certain starting point. Okay, so you don't get the default starting point. You can make your own starting point. And it's super, super cool. And one of the things you can do is that they've got like this ring primitive, and you can, in fact, maybe I'll go through and I'll do one just for the sake of showing you what I'm talking about. But you can change, you know, if it's a complete ring, or if it ends part way, or if it twists, or if, you know, things like that. And it's like, of course it does. Let me see. I think I'm going to need this. Let's get rid of that. Delete hidden, mirror and weld. This is kind of one of the tricks, one of the things that got fixed with 2019 is that mirror and weld. If you have nothing on the side that it's trying to reference from, then it's going to reference from the side that you do have something on, which is something that, you know, if you're a long-time user, you understand how awesome that is. Let's do this. Let's go to crease level 2, dynamic subdivisions up to 3. I am not entirely sure what is happening here. Yeah, let's do this. Say move, single poly. Yeah, let's go quickly and try to see about playing with that. Yeah, the basic brushes. My goodness, there's been a lot of activity I haven't seen. Sci-fi Venice could be cool home for robots based on aquatic animals. That could be interesting. That could be pretty interesting. Yeah, people do complain about a lot of stuff. Thanks, Ashley. Yeah, no, people do complain, and it's kind of fun. Free demos. Oh, free demos. Free demos. Oh my gosh, that's lame that I read it like that. You want those brushes of yours. Hey, how you doing, Atomic Toys? Demos. Yeah, no, it's not reading better like that. Dragon makes you hungry. That's funny. Good. So what I can do, I got this ring 3D. Okay, so this is what it looks like. This is not something that's sculptable. Okay, I can't do anything to this, but you can see geometry. Geometry has like no options for me. I can't do delete hidden. I can't do anything. So initialize. This is where all of our action lies. So here's what I'm going to do. Okay, I'm going to take this coverage from 360 and I'm going to take it down just a little bit. Okay, now my radius, if I adjust this, it's going to adjust the thickness throughout. Now here's where stuff starts to get cool. Okay, not that one. This is where we get this twist. Okay, we can play with this these divide adjustments, if you will. I'm gonna take this like to 16. That sounds good. And it seemed like there was a. It seemed like there was like a. Oh, there we go. Yeah, you see that? So this is what I'm talking about, right? So lame, and it's like it totally didn't even occur to me until way too late that I could even do something like that. So yeah, what I can do is I can kind of bring this and try to figure out the length that I wanted, and I don't know, whatever. So we can, let's see, something like that. And let's get some more twist to it, because why not, right? Anyway, so this is something that you can do to be able to get your base shape at the very beginning. You'll notice that it closes off those caps, okay, which can be good, can be kind of not fun. But in the end, I mean, what you're going to want to do anyway is you're going to want to adjust and play with things to make sure that it gets you what you want. Let's take this to 8, because I like to work in 8s. Okay, so something like that's kind of cool. Okay, so now this is still not sculptable. I need to go ahead and hit make polymesh 3D. Oh, sorry, there it is. Okay, so now I can go ahead and I can take this and I can, you know, move it, manipulate it. Actually, that's kind of cool. So this is where you can get like some interesting horn shapes really pretty quickly. You just kind of manipulate little bits. Let me see. Oh my goodness, okay. This is the most delicious drag. Way to go, Mike. Way to go. Got that waffle cone looking, look going. Looks sick, man. Thanks. Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Twisty donuts. We're all about twisty donuts here. So many tools I need to learn still. Me too, brother. Me too. I think waffle cone start as waffle cone disc. That'd be cool. Like grow a waffle cone in a petri dish. I would have struggled with a cone or snake hooks. Yeah. Yeah, I can totally see that. I can totally see that. So from right here, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say delete single poly, and I'm just going to go around this little circle right here and give myself an open end. Okay. And then let's get rid of that. Not ZBrush, modify topology, delete hidden. Cool. And the reason I want to do that is because now what I can do is I can grab like, let's say transpose, edge loop complete. Okay, so now I've got this edge selected. Or if I wanted to, I can even come over here and I could say insert single edge loop. I can delete edge loops to be able to modify my shapes. If I wanted to, I could come over here and put one on either side and then get rid of the one in the middle. And what this will do is it'll allow me to better control just kind of my overall shape. Okay. So you get kind of like this twisty sort of something going on in there. Yeah, you play around with it, you make it something fun, but it's like from here there's a lot that needs to happen in order for this to stylistically be something worth looking at. But it's the start of something new. Yeah, anyway, so really kind of cool. Don't need that. So yeah, here we go. So there are our waffle cones. Our dragon is, it's coming along. And there are still things that I want to go through and do on this. So like for instance, I'm going to do something really quick. I want to add like chocolate drizzled on the top, like I have on the top of the head. So I just duplicated it. Okay. I'm going to Control D once, twice. Let's say geometry, delete lower, and let's hit solo just because we don't really need everything. Okay. So, oops. Let's just kind of go along here. We'll get the mask pen. Okay, I can use my negative masking all of that, make it really nice and kind of drippy, cool. Something to keep in mind is that in the middle areas, we're going to want to turn off our symmetry. In areas where we see, in fact, really it's kind of cool to be able to have symmetry completely off, so you don't have it the same at all on either side. In fact, maybe let's move this up. Make another drip or something over there. And then let's make a down, doobie-doo, down. My dad used to do that all the time. I still don't get it. Okay. I think I want kind of more chocolate kind of coming down onto the leg, something like that. Sounds kind of cool. His little gecko handsies, yeah. He needs little gecko mittens. Okay, so from here, let's see. Chocolate covered cashew nails. Ooh. Ah, nuts. I didn't think about that. Actually, I gotta think about maybe doing. And with the hands, I can probably go through and just like keep it pretty. Oh, I don't want to. I want to get some on the hands, but I don't want to. Along the front, I could probably go through. Let's turn off symmetry again, and we'll say, just to make it so that it feels a little bit different. I don't know, something like that. Now here's what we're going to do with polygroups. I'm going to go ahead and take that. We're going to say group mask. We're going to take that polish up. Okay, so that it's a nice smooth group. Okay, Control Shift click on that so that it's isolated. And then this is where we get the magic. Oh, cool. Okay, so that looks actually quite different. We're going to be good. We're going to be good. Okay, so under geometry, we're going to go and we're going to say edge loop. We're going to hit. You could use the edge loop like that, and it's not giving me the effect that I want. So let's do panel loop. And what we're going to do, yeah, that'll work. Let's play with that. Let's turn off double. Let's turn off polish. Let's give us some thickness. Okay. So the purpose for having the tail as a separate poly group is in case I need to be able to select it to be able to pose it. We'll get more into that later on, but yeah. So because I went through and I added edge loops to this, I can now Control Shift X, and that'll give me an edge loop that goes around, just around the outside. Okay, I don't need the rest of it now because I already have the other dragon. Okay, so you can see that. I've got the full dragon here. So now what I can do, is I can say ZBrush, and I'm going to, I don't know why half is on. I don't need that on. Okay. Target polygon count. I don't know. Let's put it to 5. Let's put it to 1. Let's put it to 1 just to be able to see what it does. We're going to hold Alt and hit ZRemesher and see what it does. Not good enough. So what we're looking at here, the main body of it is close, but it's not really that great. The bottom, like the hands, turned out terrible. Turned out terrible. So what we want to do, we're going to say keep groups. Okay. We're going to take let's take this up to 5, just because, you know, it seems if you're having troubles getting a good remesh at a lower number, it's good to go through into a higher number just to be able to get it to go all right. Same thing, I'm going to hold Alt, hit ZRemesher, and we're getting a much better result. Okay. And you can see it kept my groups. So you see it's got these loops going around the mesh. Cool. It's funny how terribly misguided that got. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to delete that poly and that poly. And this is totally like not super necessary, but good grief, I am a sucker for good topology. So we're just going to insert single edge loop, one for right there and one for right there. Then we're just going to use move topological, make it big enough so that it can kind of affect both points. I just want it close to the other points. It doesn't have to be right on top, because what I'm going to do now will blow your minds. Stitch. Oh, stitch. Oh, come on. There we go. So you see, that's kind of how I go about fixing topology when I need to. This is not the way I would want it. The hard thing is that it's kind of preserving this corner. I didn't want it to be a corner. So what I can do is I can, instead of using insert, I can say collapse an edge, and then you can just collapse it down. Okay, so now instead of being super tight corner, it can be a rounded corner. Just some really simple tricks. Just things that you learn just by fiddling around and playing. I love ZBrush, guys. It's so great. Okay. So what I want to do now is go Control W. I want to hit ZRemesher again. I want to turn off keep groups, and let's just leave it at the 5,000, see what it does. Not quite. Not terrible, but not quite what I was hoping for. Let's take it down to 3 and see what it does. I'm going to turn Adapt on. Let's say Detect Edges. Let's turn off Detect Edges, see what the difference is. Not much of a difference, but enough of a difference that I can say, yeah, I'll keep it. Okay. Interesting. Just performed dragon surgery. Yes. What in the heck? Okay, so there are these weird little floating pieces here that I don't need. Easiest way to get rid of them. Okay, absolute easiest way. I'm going to go polygroups, auto groups. Okay, so you can see now because they're separate pieces, they have their own groups. Control Shift click. I'm just going to hide the pieces that I do want. Okay, as you can see, like there are a ton of pieces here. I do want those. Now I can Control Shift click and drag to invert. So now all the pieces that I don't want are hidden. Now I can go modify topology, delete hidden, and we're good to go. Now the only thing left to do, I'm going to say, yeah, we're going to do this. So Z modeler, going to go ahead, we're going to say extrude all polygons. I'm just going to extrude that out decent amount. Okay, it's a lot more than my other chocolate, which is fine. Okay, let's undo this actually. Deformation, let's inflate so that it's inside of the body. Now we can hit it with the extrude. Okay. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that the outside polygroups and the edge, the edge between the polygroups, I want to make sure that that's all one polygroup, and then the bottom is another polygroup, or another set of polygroups. The reason this is important is I can come over here to crease PG, and now I've got this kind of crease that's going along, but it's protecting everything else. That isn't it. So it's a crease around wherever the polygroup difference is. My goodness. Can you pose high poly characters with transpose master? Yes. However, you run the risk of transpose master crashing your ZBrush, because like most of us, transpose master likes to do the minimum amount of work possible. And so what it'll do is it'll go through and it kind of chugs along, it kind of complains. Let's do this just to make sure that it's all the same polygroup. It's just kind of convenient for me. Okay, so I have this bottom polygroup masked out. I'm just going to go into deformation. Let's just polish this bad boy out. Now when we unhide everything else, you see it's starting to look, yeah, it doesn't look nearly as good as the other chocolate. And a lot of it has to do with the shape that I drew into it. But yeah, very subtle pose, like hands in the pockets. Yeah, I mean, it's possible. It's possible to do it for sure. But then, like I said, you are running risk of things kind of going wrong. You know what? That's actually quite a terrible chocolate. Okay, so we're undoing those. And I want to, let's come in here, let's say Dynamesh. That's pretty dense, so let's not do it that dense. Like, I saw it and then it started flying away from me. So let's take this to let's take it to 64. Turn it on. Wow, so dense. All right. Let's get rid of pieces that we know we don't need. Okay. We're going to use trim. Okay, this is a great brush. Okay. It's just allowing me to kind of trim off these pieces that are absolutely not necessary. I am going to, I'm not worried about having the feet on there. I didn't like how that looked. I didn't like how the chocolate, start up my own candy shop, have the dragon as my logo. It'd be funny. Okay, so let's go ahead, let's turn back to just, just some standard brush. Oh, let's turn off my Okay, so the reason why I wanted to go back and kind of redo this bit is because it wasn't as it didn't look as nice as the chocolate on the head. So what I'm going to do, let's come over here, let's take a screenshot of the chocolate on the head. Go back into solo mode. Let's just kind of come back in here and we're just going to play with this just a little bit. See if we can get something going on here. That's starting to be kind of cool. Buy the dragon, put it on display and not eat it, let my room become infested with ants and stuff. Totally worth it. Totally worth it. Okay. Some of these areas I'm trying to figure out like where it could be cool to have it maybe drip lower. I mean, this ridge right here, this is kind of representing the planar change between the back and the side. Okay, let's do something like this. If I had money and knew how to make video games, I'd get started on Candyland themed and Infiniminer. Well, Ghost, I have no doubts that you could do it. Okay. Let's kind of get this kind of going down here, and we're gonna see this kind of go, and this is gonna, it's not resizing quickly enough for me. I'm so impatient. Okay, let me see. And this is definitely a process, but it's so cool when it actually works. The other thing that I can do is, instead of using never mind. I'm not even gonna worry about other thing I could do, because this works. Okay guys, what is your favorite comic book character? Doesn't have to be a superhero. Doesn't have to be a manga or anything like that. You know, what's your favorite comic book character? Type 2 diabetes included Burgess. Sad day. My favorite comic book characters are from the Black Sad. Madman, huh? Hellboy. Convenient with it having been his birthday recently. The Tick. Last Man. From The Last Man. Tick's battle cry was Spoo! Or is it Spone? What about you, Ashley? Is that you agreeing that the Tick is epic, or is this you saying, ha ha ha, I forgot about the Tick? Snoopy. Snoopy's good. Actually, at work, I have a Snoopy mug, and inside of it I have a little stuffed Snoopy. It's fantastic. And why do you like the ones that you like? Now, Mike, are you saying Snoopy because Snoopy is your favorite? Or are you saying Snoopy just because you're surprised that nobody said Snoopy? Night, Ashley. Good to have had you around. Oh, it was funny. So I was on a walk at work today, and I swear Disney must not ever throw anything away, because I was walking and I saw this this room filled with the old animation tables from the animation studio, and I was like, that is so cool. So I'm looking around just a little bit, and I find Byron Howard's animation table, and I was like, whoa! So I email it to him. I say, dude, check it out. So I don't know if he'll get my email or not. He's a busy guy, but yeah, I just thought it was kind of funny. Ugh. I've got to finish this this chocolate before I say goodnight. I am like so tired, and it's getting so late. I need to stop streaming so late, guys. I'm like, I go way over my typical time, but it doesn't really ever matter because there's nobody that streams anywhere near my streaming time, so you know. So it's kind of one of those whatever sort of situations. From that standpoint. But on the other hand, I gotta sleep. My wife has gotta sleep. And this just happens to be the bedroom, so it's like, makes it really hard to get some good shut-eye. Especially since we've been going through our colds and our allergies or whatever in the heck all this is. Oh, so it's almost 2 o'clock where you're at. I want to do a ZBrush battle with Ashley, but she'd smoke me. No, so the idea at some point is to do, I would like to host some of the other streamers while I'm streaming, and just because I think that would add variety and it would be interesting and it'd be fun to be able to hang out with them and things like that. So yeah, that is something that I'm working on. But yeah, it'll take a little bit of time in order to figure out all the technicalities, if you will. Yeah, that looks like that'll work. Okay, just turn that back on. Almost there, guys. Almost there. Let me see. Yeah, so we have very specific streaming protocols, if you will. But yeah. Is that a plot point from Wreck-It Ralph? Yeah, kind of actually, almost it is. And yes, I do go to the ZBrush summits as often as I can. I've been twice. And I've participated in each of them, so that was kind of cool. So I was, in 2016, I was part of the Sculpt Off, which was fun, up against Furio Tedeschi, and I mean the dude's a stud. I mean there's no there's no battle against Furio. But it was really neat and a great opportunity. And then this past year, I was a presenter with my mentor, Zach Petrock, and that was an amazing opportunity. That was an amazing opportunity. So yeah, I mean, if you're ever out at the ZBrush summits, come say hello. I mean, I live in Los Angeles, so it's real easy for me to get there. Well, real easy. As easy as it gets with LA traffic, right? Especially in West LA. Okay, this is where it gets kind of tricky because I want to make sure that it's not like where it's not ugly. Have a ride on a courier bike. Oh my goodness. I don't know that I ever would. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. To be able to finish off this last little bit of the tail, once it finishes thinking, okay, we're just gonna kind of zigzag back and forth. Just kind of fill in little areas. I remember getting lost in LA once. That was exciting. That's funny. Yeah, my wife grew up here, and well, I mean, she isn't one to go off adventuring. Shoot. But she did go to West LA one time all on her own when she was growing up, and she just got to the point where she was like, somebody come pick me up, please. Alright, this is like... Okay, we're calling this done. Okay, cool, cool, stop, cool, okay, stop, cool, 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 cool. Okay, so it's kind of the same process that I went through for the top of the head. Alright. Never been. My city's very small population-wise by comparison. Bike, Caribou, thanks, autocomplete. Yep, caribou. It's the way to go. Chocolate rain. That'd be great. Alright. So, now that I have this, now I can control W. Which looks like it did go through and polish the shape, which is great. Okay, so there's my shape. Just to be able to test it, because I need to be able to make sure that this is working well enough. It looks like it will. Awesome. Okay, sweet. So now we can go ahead and we can do ours. Oh, we have to delete hidden Z-remesher. And I just went ahead and held Alt on that. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, so square root of 7 is not 81. In case you were one of those troubled youth that needed to know. You know what? Let's say, let's go edge loop. We're just gonna say edge loop. Oh, it requires it to be partially hidden, whatever. So let's just go back, do it again. Except this time I'm just not gonna hold Alt. It had a little point where it did something really kind of boogery in one of those apexes. But yeah. See, this is pretty close. Okay, like we did before, we're just going to do a higher polygon count and turn off adapt just to see if this works. Tay Zonde. Who is Tay Zonde? Get Tay Zonde to voice the dragon. A boogery. I had a boogery apex once. Okay, I'm gonna bring down that adaptive size. Let's hit Z-remesher again. Let's see what it does. See, that's much, much nicer. Yes. Dude! Yeah, okay. This is what we want. See, it just takes a little bit of playing, a little bit of finagling and getting it to work the way you want it to work. Okay, so I'm just going to turn that off, turn that off. I do want to make sure that it is on the inside of the dragon. Reason being is that I'm going to add thickness to it, and so it's going to be coming out, and so I want it to really feel like it's resting on top of the dragon. Okay, so from here, let's take this and just kind of pull this up and under, something like that. Okay, something like that. Okay, so now that we got this, he's saying chocolate rain. Moved away from the microphone, became a meme. Interesting. Chocolate rain. Is it supposed to be a Prince spin-off? You know, let's check our head chocolate. Our head chocolate and our, not our dragon blocking, we want this. Okay, this is a little bit too dense, but I can't bring myself to lose this, so I'm going to keep a copy because I do that. I'm going to turn on half, hold Alt, hit Z remesher, and how does that look? You know what, let's just hit Z remesher instead of holding Alt. It doesn't feel like it really did anything good. Oh, come on, we want to delete single poly. Cool. This is always just one of the tricky things, because if you want something to turn out really well, you do have to do some work on it. I actually have to work. It's like, gosh. Let's just kind of push and pull this until it feels right. Just gonna pull that down. Something, something, something like that. Purple rain, purple rain. Yes. In fact, yeah, there's one that I have just here on my desk. It's a rhino. It's a speed sculpt that I did from a series that I'm working on. I have my own Form 2 printer, and I really like 3D printing. It's a really expensive hobby, and I also go through and I charter out my printer so that, you know, in case anybody wanted to get something printed, they essentially send me the model and I print it. So yeah, that's always a really fun thing, because I really enjoy seeing other people's work. There have only been a couple of models, a couple of artists, people that I worked with that haven't been very pleasant to work with, because either the setup was really terrible and it kind of just had a little bit of backlash, and so like if you're sending your model somewhere to get printed, definitely make sure that it's prepped properly first. It's a huge help, especially for someone like me where I'm not very available. Well, thank you. Yeah, it does get pretty smelly with them, and it's kind of loud. It's not as loud as FDM printers, but yeah, still loud enough to be noticeable. Okay, so now let's go ahead. We're going to do our extrude all polys. Boom. Just like that. Sound effects and all. Not optional. Okay. So now we've got our 3 poly groups. Let's go ahead and make sure that we've got that top one. I'm just going to go ahead and say, oh, actually, here's what we want to do first. Git select rectangle. Control W. So we've got just the just the bottom has its own polygroup. Deformation, let's hit polish. Okay. And there we go. So now we've got chocolate on the back of the dragon. I'm going to actually go ahead, let's hide the blocking dragon. So we don't need that right now. Let's save it. Okay. Yeah, actually, so I can sleep through it printing. I keep it out in the hallway, which is kind of nice. I had a period where I was keeping it kind of underneath, like in its own little cupboard. So you couldn't really hear it much at all, really. But you know, as soon as I started doing that, I started having print problems. So I stopped doing that. Come on, you. There we go. Okay, cool. What kind of printer do you have, Clown? You use PLA? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. 3D printing is really quite a neat tool, though. Okay, I'm just going to kind of puff up some of these. It's not for the sake of getting a shape, it's more for the sake of making sure that it's not the same shape. And in some areas like this, I want to kind of break up. I don't want to have the same bump happening time and again, just because that makes it boring. Okay, so this one I'll pull it up, this one I'll kind of pull it over and down, something like that. Okay, pull that one down. And I want to go to Chile. I just want to go to Chile. And for those of you to whom it sounds random to want to go to Chile, you have obviously never been to Chile. Yeah. Yeah, the maintenance is, well, the maintenance isn't really too bad. I haven't really had to service it at all. And Formlabs is really good about supporting their customers, so it's been a good experience. Okay, let me see. I don't think I have my brush in here, so I'm just gonna load this in. This is like the last thing we're gonna do is we're gonna add the sprinkles. Okay, so gumdrops. I need the gumdrops brush. Okay, so here's my sprinkle. Okay. Essentially what I need to do, we're gonna go brush, create, nanomesh brush. Okay. And I just need to make sure that let's go ahead and get it on all polys, something like that. Okay. So I mean, this is not what the intended final look is supposed to be, right? It's supposed to be colorful. They're supposed to be, you know, random and elongated, things like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to come down to nanomesh. This is where we get to start to create the magic. For those of you who saw me do the dragon head, you'll recognize kind of what we did. CR10. Bought a Kickstarter SLA printer. Oh, yeah, that's always the fun part, doing things through Kickstarter. Fingers crossed. Okay, I'm going to take this width down. I'm going to take the length down. So that's about the same. Okay. Now for the rest of this, what I want to do is, first off, I want to say X rotation. Take this and say something like 85, well, somewhere around 90, close to 90, okay? Because what I'm wanting to do is I'm wanting this to feel like it's on the surface, okay? But then, of course, you can add a little bit of variation, okay? The other thing that we can do, let's give myself a little bit brighter a color. It's kind of hard to see. Anyway, let's do this. We're going to go height variation. Okay, so you can see there's a very slight bit of variation to that height there. We don't need quite that much. Okay. Random distribution. So this is where we get to actually see, or we actually get to see it turn into sprinkles. Okay, let's see if we can, there should be a size right here. We can make it larger or smaller. Let's see if we can make it feel okay. So this is where we want to go through. We want to make sure that the rotation is more random. It feels like there might be too many of them, so this is where I'm gonna look at that. Oh my goodness, all the detail. Okay, so height-wise, it looks like they're not quite long enough. Maybe, so I'm going to elongate it maybe by 20%. So I'm just going to take it up to like, come on, just 1.2, something like that. Still feels like there are way too many sprinkles. So, oh, the other thing I could do. Okay, let's say copy. Okay. What if I only want the sprinkles to show up on the top? Okay, this is where having polygroups comes in really, really handy. So I'm going to Control-Shift-D. Okay, so I've got this. I want to get rid of my nanomesh. Oh, come on. For Pete's sake. Okay, let's say polygroup, polyloop. Sweet, not that way, this way. And now let's say polygroup island. So that way we got two different polygroup colors. And we don't need the bottom part. So we're just going to delete hidden. Modify topology, delete hidden. Okay, so now this is going to become the surface for the sprinkles. Okay, the other one doesn't need it. So we're just going to come over here. We're going to say nanomesh on. I got it. I got it. Let's see. Did I get rid of it? Delete hidden. Yes, okay, so that should be working. Oh, that's why I changed it. So it needs to be nanomesh. Insert nanomesh, all polygons. Okay. So what I want to do underneath nanomesh, this is where I want to hit paste. Okay. So now I get sprinkles, but only on the top. So now with the other mesh, I can just go ahead and turn off the sprinkles. We can turn off solo, go down to the mesh that has the sprinkles on it, and now we can just go ahead and figure out how much we want by way of sprinkles. I think I should be able to hit like the depth or whatever of these yeah, no, should be good. Okay, I think everything there should be just fine. Okay, so what I want to do now is that if I want to turn this into geometry, okay, I think there are a couple of different ways I can do it. Let me see. You'd say 1 to mesh, copy 1 nanomesh to mesh. Okay, so you can do that. Okay, so now if we look at this, you see our polygon count ended up shooting through the roof, but you can see now that there's topology on these sprinkles now. Okay, so what we want to do, we don't want this piece now, so we're just going to invert that. Geometry, delete hidden. We're just going to solo this out. Okay, so we don't need funky polygroups, but we do need polygroups. So I'm going to come over here to polygroups, hit auto groups. You see it's got all these pretty colors to it now. It's pretty boring without the polygroups turned on. So this is the secret. This is how I go through and color them. So I'm going to come down to polypaint, polypaint from polygroups, and now it's all colorful. So now we got sprinkles. Okay, now with this, you can just take it and we can cover it with that. Okay, we're gonna go color. First we got a MRGB, color, fill object. We're going to rename things. Sprinkles on body. Chocolate body. And then this is something that we don't need anymore. So I'm just going to hit delete. And I'm too tired to do anything else with this right now. But yeah, so there we go. Too tired. So, you guys are great. I'm glad you guys were able to have fun and chat while I was focusing. Anyway, I hope you guys have a great night. Thanks for coming and hanging out. And, you know, I'll be around next week, same time. Don't forget about our talk about the icebreakers for the question from earlier about breaking into the industry. And if you're interested in following me on YouTube or on Instagram or on anywhere else, my handle, my username is pretty much the same as everything you see over there, SMAARTIST. So yeah, look me up, smartest. Anyway, Good to have you around. And I'll be around again next week, same time, same place, same channel, same bad jokes. Maybe different bad jokes, I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, thanks for coming, and I will see you next week, 8 o'clock Pacific time. Cheers.